It often starts in the middle of the night. You wake up suddenly because one of your hands feels strange, heavy, numb, almost lifeless for a few seconds. You shake it gently, maybe rub your fingers together. Slowly, the feeling comes back, and like many people over 60, you tell yourself the same thing. I probably just slept on it wrong, but then it happens again. A few days later, you're holding your morning coffee mug and your fingers suddenly feel weak. Another time, you struggle to button your shirt. Maybe you notice your newspaper slipping slightly from your grip, or while driving, your hand begins tingling for no clear reason at all. At first, it seems small, easy to ignore. But what if your hands are trying to warn you about something deeper? And what if the numbness is not actually starting in your hands at all? Now, most people assume numb hands are just part of getting older. Poor circulation, sleeping position, maybe arthritis, and sometimes that's true. But here's what may surprise you. In many older adults I've seen over the years, repeated numbness can sometimes be one of the earliest quiet signals that something else in the body is struggling long before bigger symptoms appear. The difficult part is this: the real cause is often missed for years because the signs seem so ordinary at first. And by the end of this video, you may understand why this keeps happening, and why your body may have been trying to get your attention much earlier than you realized. But before we get to the deeper reason, there's something surprisingly simple most people overlook first. This is where most people get it wrong. When your hand suddenly goes numb, it's very easy to brush it aside. You tell yourself you slept in a strange position. Maybe your circulation was cut off for a few minutes. Maybe it's just part of getting older, and to be fair, sometimes it really is harmless. But the problem is not the occasional numbness, it's the repeated numbness. That's the part many people overlook for months, sometimes even years. You see, your nerves work a lot like electrical wires inside your body. They carry signals back and forth every second. They tell your fingers how to move. They help you feel heat, cold, pressure, and touch. And when those signals get interrupted again and again, your body may be trying to send you a warning long before something more serious develops. Here's what many people never consider. The issue may not actually be starting in your hand at all. Think of it like a lamp flickering in your living room. Most people would stare at the bulb, but sometimes the real problem is damaged wiring hidden deep behind the wall. The flicker is only the symptom, not the source. And this might surprise you, but I've seen many older adults ignore these small signs simply because they don't want to make a fuss. They stay quiet, they adapt, they shake their hand and move on, but your body notices patterns even when you don't. So here's one simple thing you can start doing today. Pay attention to when the numbness happens. Does it happen while sleeping? Driving? Reading? Holding your phone? And how long does it last before the feeling returns? Those small details can sometimes reveal far more than people realize. But the next sign is where things quietly begin to change. The next sign is something many people brush off for years. At first, it's so subtle you barely notice it. Maybe a jar suddenly feels harder to open. Maybe your coffee cup doesn't feel as secure in your hand as it used to. You pick up a grocery bag and your fingers weaken halfway to the kitchen. Or perhaps you've started dropping small things more often: keys, utensils, the TV remote. Most people immediately assume the same thing. My hands are just getting weaker with age. And yes, aging can affect strength over time. But sometimes something else is happening quietly underneath the surface. Sometimes the communication between the brain and the hands may be slowing down. Let me explain. Your nerves constantly carry messages from your brain down through your arms and into your fingers. Those messages help control grip, pressure, and movement. But when the signal becomes interrupted or irritated, the hand may not respond the way it once did. It's a little like a phone charger that only works when you bend the wire a certain way. The power is still there, but the connection is unstable. And here's what makes this tricky for many older adults. The weakness often comes and goes. One day your hands feel normal, the next day they don't. That inconsistency makes people doubt themselves. Have you noticed yourself switching hands more often lately? Using two hands for tasks that once needed only one? That quiet adjustment can sometimes mean more than people realize. Now, one simple thing that may help is paying attention to posture and hand position throughout the day. Try not to keep your wrists bent for long periods while sleeping, reading, or holding your phone. Gentle hand stretches and light movement may also help reduce strain. But here's where this story starts getting more interesting. In many cases, the real source of the numbness may actually travel farther up the arm, or even beyond it entirely. And what comes next is where numbness stops being just annoying and starts becoming meaningful. This might surprise you. Sometimes the numbness in your hands may have very little to do with your hands themselves. In fact, one of the most overlooked areas is the neck and shoulders. Now think about this for a moment. Your nerves don't magically begin in your fingers. They travel all the way from the neck down through the shoulders and arms before finally reaching the hands. And when tension, pressure, or stiffness affects those pathways, the signals traveling through them may begin to weaken or become irritated. That's why some people massage their hands over and over. But the real pressure may actually be starting much higher up. It's a little like stepping on a garden hose far away from where the water stops flowing. The problem shows up at the end of the hose, but the blockage started somewhere else entirely. And here's what I've seen happen with many older adults. Over the years, posture slowly changes, shoulders round forward, the neck leans down more often while reading, watching television, sewing, or using a phone. Little by little, strain builds quietly in areas people rarely think about. Then one day, the tingling begins. One simple habit that may help is gently stretching the neck and shoulders during the day and becoming more aware of posture. Even raising a book or phone closer to eye level instead of bending downward constantly can reduce unnecessary strain. And if this sounds familiar so far, comment yes below. I always read those comments, and it helps others realize they're not alone. The truth is, many seniors silently adapt instead of asking questions. They avoid complaining, they learn to live around discomfort. But now we need to talk about the reason many people never expect. Now this is where things start to become serious. Because repeated numbness in the hands is not always just about posture, pressure, or aging joints. Sometimes it may be connected to something happening much deeper inside the body. This is the part many people never expect. You see, your nerves need a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and healthy blood flow every single day to work properly. They are constantly sending messages back and forth like tiny communication highways. But when that delivery system begins slowing down, those signals can weaken, and that may lead to tingling, numbness, burning, sensations, or weakness that keeps returning. It's a little like a small town receiving fewer and fewer supply trucks every week. At first, nobody notices, then shelves slowly empty, lights flicker, systems begin struggling quietly in the background. That's what can happen when circulation changes or blood sugar levels remain unbalanced over time. The nerves may become more sensitive and less efficient, especially in older adults. And here's the difficult part. Many people don't recognize the pattern until the symptoms begin spreading beyond the hands, sometimes into the feet, sometimes into the legs. That's often when they finally realize the body had been whispering long before it started shouting. Remember when I said the problem may not actually begin in the hands? This is what I meant. Now, this does not mean every numb hand points to a serious condition, but recurring symptoms are worth paying attention to, especially if they appear alongside unusual thirst, constant fatigue, slow healing cuts, or cold hands and feet. Those signals deserve a conversation with a healthcare professional, not silent guessing. Because the earlier patterns are noticed, the more options people often have to protect long-term comfort and independence. But there's one final piece that connects everything together. Here's the part many people wish they knew earlier. That numb feeling in your hands is not always the main problem. In many cases, it can be an early signal, a quiet message, something your body uses to get your attention long before bigger discomfort appears. Your body rarely changes suddenly. It usually whispers first, then speaks louder, and only later does it start to shout. And when you connect everything we talked about, it starts to make more sense. Neck tension that builds slowly over time, pressure on nerve pathways, changes in circulation, shifts in blood sugar balance, everyday habits like posture, sleep position, and repetitive movements, and sometimes simply ignoring the early signs because life is busy. It all adds up quietly in the background. But here is something very important to remember. Many older adults miss these signals not because they are careless, but because they are responsible. They care for family, they stay active, they push through discomfort thinking it's probably just aging. And over time, they learn to normalize what their body is trying to warn them about. Let me reassure you about something. Noticing these signs early is not weakness, it is wisdom. It means you are listening to your body before it is forced to speak louder. One simple step you can take is to start tracking your symptoms gently. Notice patterns, pay attention to posture during daily activities. Keep your body moving with light stretches or walking. And if symptoms keep returning, a simple check-in with a healthcare professional can bring clarity and peace of mind. And the good news is, your body may still be giving you time to respond. At the end of all this, one thing really matters more than anything else: your independence. Because healthy, steady hands are not just about comfort, they are about life. They are about cooking your favorite meals without hesitation, writing a note without shaking, hugging your grandchildren with warmth and confidence, driving where you need to go, doing the small everyday things that quietly define your freedom. And when something like numbness starts showing up again and again, it deserves attention, not fear, but awareness. You are not powerless. Let me say that again slowly. You are not powerless. Your body is not betraying you. In most cases, it may simply be asking you to listen a little sooner before small signals become harder to ignore. And the truth is, many of these concerns can improve once you understand what your body is trying to communicate. Small lifestyle adjustments, better posture habits, gentle movement, and timely conversations with a healthcare professional can make a real difference over time. So if you take just one thing from this video, let it be this. Don't ignore the patterns. Respect them. Notice them early, and respond with care, not worry. And if someone you love, your spouse, your sibling, your parent, or a friend over 60 has ever mentioned hand numbness, share this with them. It might help them understand what their body has been quietly trying to say. And if you enjoy calm, honest health conversations like this, subscribe and join us for the next video, because staying informed may be one of the most powerful forms of self-care.